This is going to be a little quicker of a video than normal, hopefully. Again, I am recording this at 3 in the morning, and this video is going to go up today. But before I get into it, I do want to say something. I'm in a really, really good mood, especially lately, mostly because I got my mixer back. I finally got my mixer. For those who have not been following me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, you probably didn't know, and maybe you didn't notice, and that actually would be a good thing, that for about 4 months, I have been using a backup interface, which I put away and I should have just had. Give me a second. I'll be right back. This guy right here, I actually did a review on it. Maybe a link will be in the description if I remember. But for the past 4 months, I've been using this instead of my Yamaha MG12XU, my $500 mixer. And none of my clients have noticed. As long as it's been on the same microphone and within the same studio and I record at decent levels, everything's been fine. So, yeah. There you go. A little shout out to that. And also a shout out to Straight Music, which I will have a link or something to them. They're the ones who actually repaired my mixer. It took a while for them to get to it, but once they did get to it, they fixed it rather quickly. And it was awesome. So if you're in the Austin area and you have an interface or any kind of device that needs to be fixed, they were not that expensive and they did a really good job. So there you go. On to the video. Alright, so today's video, I actually wanted to directly respond to a comment that I did respond to. Again, apologies for my sweating, even though it is winter. We had the heat on, and this is basically just a pillow fort, so I'm going to be sweating. I'm not going to apologize anymore. And if you've been doing voiceover, you know that that's just something you expect, to just sweat in the booth. It's better than bleeding in the booth. All right, so there was a comment left on one of my videos, and I actually think it is a good question, but it was... The person presented it, they kind of didn't understand the point of the video. Their actual comment was, I'll raise a point you missed here, which I didn't really miss this particular point, this issue that they're about to bring up, because the video they attached it to was kind of basics. It was the how to get into voiceover from zero. So it was kind of the basics that would apply to the general public, to the highest number of people, the majority. But their point that they wanted to present was listening to recordings of yourself and every voice you do until it sounds the way you expect it to, sound, so that it no longer makes you cringe to listen to, basically to your own voice. Not going to read the whole thing, but the idea is kind of getting used to your own voice or adjusting your voice and not feeling bad about it, or your voice not sounding weird to yourself. And the reason that I missed that, and I will address it in this video, but the reason I missed that in the previous video was that it's not really something that everyone has a problem with, that I've noticed. It's actually something that happens to not a strong minority, as in not a very, very small minority, but more like 40% maybe have a similar issue from what I've observed. But if you're someone who got into voiceover after having already done acting, singing, radio, any other, performance art related medium, then you're already basically used to the way you sound on some level. I got into this from acting and comedy and various other, performance art related venues. So I was already very used to how I sound and listening and watching myself on recordings. So that just naturally came to me. If you're someone who is going literally from zero, and has no background other than that, and you don't like the sound of your voice, or you are incredibly introverted and you're not used to speaking publicly, this might be something that you would struggle with. I don't think it's something that people understand accurately. So there's a lot of people that, and those, including this particular individual, who do seem to have this problem are kind of coming at it the wrong way. There's a lot of people that want to change the way they sound because they don't like the way they sound. But that is not how you should be coming at this. Instead, you should be finding out what is the best part of your voice, what is the best part about you, and how do you capitalize on that. Because if we all tried to just change the way we sound, we're all going to basically try to model ourselves and the way we sound after other people that are already in the industry. We're going to just basically try to mimic them on some level. But not every producer, director, casting director, writer, what have you, are going to actually be looking for the exact same sound. In fact, there's a growing need for real sounding people or dirty sounding performances. And what I mean by that is there are fewer and fewer jobs where people are looking for the kind of radio guy or the big boomy announcer voice or the perfect sounding voice actor. A lot of people just, nowadays really want some real sounding people, especially when it comes to the indie side. There are a lot of benefits to sounding real or sounding dirty or natural or unpolished. There are a lot of horror games. I see a lot of independent, content creators, independent video game creators that are making horror games, and they want real people because it's supposed to feel more organic, it's supposed to keep you in the world. If all the performances are done theatrically or they're done polished and, very articulate, it's not going to sound as real. It's not going to sound as something that could be happening to you. If instead the performances are more, where the voice cracks or it's more random or maybe not all the syllables are clear, it's going to sound like you were actually there because that's more or less how people actually talk. And that's kind of how I've been approaching a lot of certain kinds of projects as well. And that is probably going to be more and more common as time goes on because people are going to want more and more real performances, real people, real sounds. There's also a big thing on TikTok when people do post a lot of ads. They want performances or want ads that seem as if it's a real person doing a real review. And so they're not going to want the polished sound. They're not going to want the polished presentation. They're going to want something that's, a little bit more, dirty, a little bit more grungy, maybe some stuttering, maybe some hiccups, some mistakes to make it seem more real. So taking all that in and then coming back to the original issue, you shouldn't be trying to change your voice. Now, you should be trying to get used to your voice. And by that, I mean, you should just listen to yourself until you don't, cringe, but don't try to alter it. Don't try to change it. And you shouldn't feel bad about how you sound. You shouldn't be trying to sound like anyone else. There are already a whole bunch of people that sound like them. But none of them sound like you. You need to sound like you because there's going to be someone out there that's looking for you, that's looking for your sound. There's going to be someone out there that's going to not know what they're looking for until they hear you and they go, that's what it was. That's the thing. And everybody has their own natural niche. Everybody has their own place in the industry where their voice will fit, where their voice will actually just naturally slide in like a perfect puzzle piece. But if you try to match everyone else and try to change your voice or try to alter it or try to, improve it, which your voice will naturally improve, I guess, to a degree as time goes on. Like, for example, my voice naturally got lower. My pitch naturally got lower and more pronounced, more articulate. But technically it didn't change. It just became slightly more robust. My vernacular, the way I pronounce certain words, and my pitch, for the most part, as far as my higher end articulation, the majority of how I sound, that's all the same. It just added a little bit of gravitas, a little bit of low end. And that was just from my vocal cords relaxing and me having done this for so long. That it isn't really my voice changing, and that's not me getting used to my voice. That is just something that naturally happened. So that is something that I guess could happen to you, but that doesn't happen to everybody. So don't expect it to. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. I just wanted to address that very specifically because it was a topic that I hadn't covered. And yeah, I wanted to cover it. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Totally fine. Subscribe if you're new. Bell for notifications. And leave down in the comment section below. Like to see me cover any other topics. And, good Lord. Losing a lot of weight. Mostly just from sweat. And, yeah. Till next time. Peace.